Detailed history and description of Mara Salvatrucha, MS-13, origins and evolution. Mara Salvatrucha, widely known as MS-13, is an international criminal organization that originated in the 1980s in Los Angeles, California. Initially, the gang was formed by Salvadoran immigrants to protect their community from other gangs in the area. However, over time, it evolved into a notorious criminal enterprise. MS-13's growth was partly fueled by a rivalry with the 18th Street Gang, which persists to this day. The conclusion of the Salvadoran Civil War in 1992 and subsequent deportations of MS-13 members back to El Salvador facilitated the gang's expansion into Central America. As a result, MS-13 has established a significant presence not only in the United States but also in Canada, Mexico, and various Central American countries. The majority of its members are of Central American descent, particularly Salvadorans. Name and symbolism. The etymology of the gang's name is somewhat disputed. Mara is believed to refer to a street in San Salvador or a type of fierce ant known as marabunta. Salvatrucha likely combines Salvadoran and the slang term truca, meaning alert or street smart. Some suggest it references the Farabundo Martí National Liberation Front, a guerrilla group in the Salvadoran Civil War. The number the 13th of May symbolized the letter M, the 13th letter of the alphabet, or it could honor the Mexican Mafia prison gang. Membership and initiation. MS-13's membership is predominantly composed of Salvadorans and Salvadoran Americans but also includes individuals from Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico, and other parts of Central and South America. The gang is notorious for its extreme violence and brutal methods of retribution. Initiation rituals, such as the beat-in, involve prospective members being beaten for 13 seconds. Some cliques, like the Fulton clique in Los Angeles, even require recruits to commit murder to join. The gang primarily recruits impoverished, often homeless young men and teenagers who engage in minor criminal activities like drug dealing, theft, and extortion. They use abandoned buildings, known as destroyers, for meetings, drug deals, and as places of residence. Employment among gang members usually involves low-wage jobs in construction, restaurants, delivery services, and landscaping, often using false documentation. Violence and operations. MS-13's violence is both public and ruthless, with frequent incidents of infanticide and femicide. In El Salvador, the gang has contributed to the country's high femicide rate, with only a small percentage of cases resulting in convictions. Retaliatory attacks often target not only rival gang members but also their families and associates. High-profile attacks have included the burning of buses with passengers on board and the assassination of police officers, government officials, and community leaders. Due to such actions, the Supreme Court of El Salvador has classified gangs like MS-13 as terrorist organizations. International and domestic expansion. MS-13's influence extends beyond the United States. The gang has a significant presence in Central America, particularly in the Northern Triangle countries of El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala. The gang's operations in these regions are often more centralized and cohesive than in the U.S. MS-13 has also expanded into Mexico, largely directed by its leadership in El Salvador, known as the Ronfla Nacional. In the United States, MS-13 operates in at least 42 states and the District of Columbia, with major concentrations in Los Angeles, New York, and the Washington, D.C. metropolitan areas. The gang's activities are tailored to local conditions, but there has been increasing coordination among its various cliques. Law enforcement and government response. The U.S. government has implemented various strategies to combat MS-13, including the formation of the MS-13 National Gang Task Force by the FBI in 2004. This task force coordinates efforts among local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies. Operations like Community Shield have led to thousands of arrests. Additionally, the U.S. Treasury Department has imposed sanctions on the gang and its leaders, freezing their assets and restricting their operations. El Salvador has also taken measures against MS-13, such as the controversial mano dura, iron fist, policies and a gang truce brokered by former President Mauricio Funes. However, these measures have had mixed results, with some policies potentially strengthening the gangs rather than weakening them. On February 8, 2023, the United States federal government ramped up pressure on Archagua Carías. The United States Department of State Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs offered a reward offer of $5 million through its Narcotics Rewards Program. The same day, the United States Department of the Treasury Office of Foreign Assets Control announced his sanctioning through placement on the Specially Designated Nationals and Blocked Persons list pursuant to Executive Order 13,581. Recent developments and political context. In recent years, MS-13 has been a focal point in U.S. political discourse, particularly among Republican politicians who have linked the gang to broader immigration issues. Former President Donald Trump frequently highlighted MS-13's brutality to justify stricter immigration policies. His administration made MS-13 a top priority, although some of his claims about the gang's influence and the effects of his policies were disputed. Internationally, MS-13 remains a significant security challenge, with ongoing efforts to curb its activities. Notably, the U.S. government has placed several MS-13 leaders on its most wanted list and offered substantial rewards for information leading to their capture. 2023 Most Wanted. In 2023, there are MS-13 members and associates besides Carías who are wanted by both the FBI and DHS. Each government agency is offering $10,000 for information leading to their arrest and conviction. They include Freddy Ivan Jandres Parada, captured; Cesar Humberto Lopez Larios, captured; Jorge Alexander de la Cruz, Juan Antonio Martinez Abrego, Francisco Javier Roman Bardales, Carlos Tiberio Ramirez Valladares, Hugo Armando Quinteros Maneros, Jose Orlando Gonzalez Medina, Jose Raul Irahita, Jesus Guillermo Alvarado Serrano, Ingrid Estela Hernandez. Political discourse. MS-13 has been a theme in the Republican party's, in particular former President Donald Trump's, discourse during political campaigns and debates on immigration. Republicans have accused Democrats of being responsible for violence by MS-13 gangs and have called for stricter immigration policies to deal with MS-13. Republican politicians have argued that sanctuary cities, jurisdictions which do not prioritize enforcement of immigration law, contribute to MS-13 activity. However, studies on the relationship between sanctuary status and crime have found that sanctuary policies either do not affect or decrease crime rates. During the Trump administration, MS-13 became a top priority for the Department of Justice. Trump falsely claimed that towns had been liberated from MS-13 rule during his presidency. In 2018, Donald Trump's State of the Union address included Evelyn Rodriguez, the mother of a child who was slain by MS-13 members. Rodriguez died soon after from a non-MS-13 related case. Trump also falsely claimed on multiple occasions that his administration had deported thousands and thousands of MS-13 gang members. In justifying the Trump administration's implementation of a family separation policy of migrants accused of crossing the border illegally, Kirstjen Nielsen, Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, said that child migrants were being used by MS-13 to cross the U.S.-Mexico border. There is no evidence that MS-13 members have falsely claimed custodianship of children crossing the U.S. border. MS-13, short for Mara Salvatrucha, is a violent criminal gang originating from El Salvador. It has a significant presence in the United States, with an estimated 10,000 members in 2018, a number that has remained relatively stable for over a decade. Despite the gang's notoriety, MS-13 represents less than 1% of the total gang members in the United States, which the FBI estimates to be around 1.4 million. Similarly, MS-13 accounts for a small fraction of gang-related murders. However, the FBI has noted that Serrano gangs, which include MS-13, 18th Street, and Florencia 13, are expanding both in terms of membership and geographical reach faster than other national-level gangs. The Trump administration has frequently highlighted what it claims to be a surge in MS-13 gang activity, attributing this to weak immigration enforcement. Despite these claims, there has been no concrete evidence to support the assertion that lax immigration policies have contributed to an increase in MS-13 crime. Publicized crimes. MS-13 is involved in various criminal activities, including drug trafficking, extortion, and violence. The gang traffics narcotics, primarily cocaine and marijuana, into and throughout the United States. Additionally, MS-13 is engaged in the trafficking of stolen vehicles from the U.S. to Central America. The gang uses intimidation and violence to extort payments from both legal and illegal businesses operating in its territories. Members are also involved in a wide array of other criminal activities, such as alien smuggling, weapons trafficking, assault, homicide, rape, kidnapping, identity theft, home invasions, carjackings, prostitution, robbery, and vandalism. MS-13 is affiliated with the Serrano coalition of gangs that pay tribute to the Mexican Mafia. The gang collaborates with the Mexican Mafia in drug trafficking operations. MS-13 leaders in Mexico have also forged alliances with major drug cartels, including the Zetas, Gulf, Jalisco New Generation, and Sinaloa cartels, to acquire narcotics and firearms. Additionally, since 2007, MS-13 has been known to target migrants on the southern border of Mexico with violence. Internationally, the 18th Street Gang is MS-13's biggest rival, along with other gangs like the Bloods and Latin Kings. Infighting among MS-13 cliques has also been reported. Notable cases: 1. Brenda Paz. On July 13, 2003, 17-year-old Brenda Paz, a former MS-13 member turned informant, was found stabbed to death by the Shenandoah River in Virginia. She was 4 months pregnant at the time and had been killed for providing information to the FBI about MS-13's activities. 2 of her former friends were later convicted of her murder. 2. Honduran Bus Massacre. On December 23, 2004, one of MS-13's most infamous crimes in Central America occurred in Chamelecon, Honduras. Gunmen attacked an intercity bus, killing 28 and wounding 14 passengers, mostly women and children. The massacre was a protest against the Honduran government's proposal to restore the death penalty. 6 gunmen carried out the attack, executing passengers methodically. Several perpetrators were later convicted, while others were killed in custody. 3. Ernesto Smokey Miranda. On May 13, 2006, Ernesto Miranda, a founding member of MS-13 who had started studying law and working to keep children out of gangs, was murdered at his home in El Salvador. He had refused to attend a party for a recently released gang member. 4. San Francisco murders. On June 22, 2008, Edwin Ramos, a 21-year-old MS-13 member, shot and killed Anthony Bologna and his 2 sons in San Francisco. The family had inadvertently blocked Ramos's car, leading to the fatal shooting. Authorities believed the attack was in retaliation for the earlier shooting of an MS-13 member, with the Bolognas mistaken for rival gang members. 5. Long Island murders. MS-13 has been responsible for multiple murders on Long Island, New York, during the 2010s. In one case, in 2010, an MS-13 member allegedly murdered a 2-year-old child. In 2015, Jonathan Cardona Hernandez was shot dead, and in 2017, Julio Cesar Gonzalez Esponce was lured and killed. The gang's activities led to significant law enforcement crackdowns, resulting in numerous arrests and convictions. 6. Child prostitution rings. In 2011, Alonso Bruno Cornejo Ormeño was sentenced to 24 years in prison for recruiting underage girls into prostitution in Fairfax, Virginia. Another MS-13 leader, Rances Ulysses Amaya, was convicted in 2012 for trafficking girls as young as 14. He was sentenced to 50 years in prison for his role in running a prostitution ring involving juvenile females. 7. Charlotte, North Carolina. In the early 2000s, a major investigation into MS-13 in Charlotte led to charges against 26 gang members. Alejandro Enrique Ramirez Umaña, also known as Wizard, was the first MS-13 member sentenced to the federal death penalty for multiple murders, including those of Ruben and Manuel Garcia Salinas in North Carolina. Terrorism charges. On July 15, 2020, the U.S. Department of Justice announced terrorism charges against Armando Alayu Melgar Diaz, marking the first time such charges were used against an MS-13 member. This was part of a broader crackdown, which included the arrest of 21 other suspected MS-13 members in New York and Nevada. Attorney General William Barr highlighted that MS-13's savagery was driven by a desire for a reputation as killers, rather than commercial interests like traditional organized crime groups. Developments in Spain. MS-13's influence has extended beyond the Americas. Under the coordination of its leaders in El Salvador, the gang formed 5 cliques in Spain as part of an expansionist program. These cliques operated legitimate businesses, such as bars and restaurants, to launder money and provide employment and visas for former gang members. In March 2014, Spanish authorities arrested 35 MS-13 members in a significant operation that included charges of money laundering, attempted murder, drug trafficking, and illegal firearms possession. 2021 MacArthur Park attacks. In 2021, 2 transgender women were assaulted and stabbed in MacArthur Park, Los Angeles, highlighting the gang's violent control over the area. The attacks drew condemnation from advocacy groups and resulted in increased police presence. The women had been forced to pay a tax to MS-13 for permission to be in the park. The gang extorted fees from many individuals to regulate illicit activities in the area, demonstrating their ruthless enforcement of territorial control. Conclusion. Mara Salvatrucha, MS-13, remains a significant criminal threat both within the United States and internationally. The gang's involvement in a wide range of criminal activities, from drug trafficking to violent extortion, has led to substantial law enforcement efforts to curb its influence. Despite political rhetoric and sensationalized accounts, the evidence suggests that MS-13's presence and impact, while serious, have not surged dramatically in recent years. The ongoing challenge of combating MS-13 requires a multifaceted approach, addressing both the gang's criminal activities and the underlying social issues that contribute to its persistence. Its origins in Los Angeles have given rise to a sprawling criminal network with a presence across the Americas and beyond. Despite numerous efforts by law enforcement and governments to dismantle the gang, MS-13 continues to adapt and persist, posing significant challenges to security and public safety.